Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this really easy apron skirt with pockets. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need two different fabrics. Out of both fabric A and B, you'll need 5/8 of a yard. To cut the skirt portion out for the apron, take your fabric and fold the selvage edges together. Here is your fold line, so you want to place it on a line straight across going this way. You're going to straighten out this first edge, so pull this edge past one of the lines on your cutting mat and then line up your ruler at the top end and bottom end and then cut your edge straight. Then you're going to go over 20 inches. And again, place your ruler on the lines on your cutting mat and then cut. Now place the folded edge along here right on one of your lines, and you're going to go over 20 inches and cut the selvage end off. So line up your ruler and cut. To cut the waistband, have your fabric again folded with the selvage edges together. And as you can see, this side over here is very uneven. So I'm going to trim it off. I'm going to place my ruler right there on the line up here as well as down there so that I can cut everything straight and then cut. Now move your ruler over 5 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and cut your first fat piece for your waistband. Now you need one more, so go over 5 inches again and cut. Now you're going to go over 7 inches for your pockets to cut out a strip for that, and go ahead and cut. Place the strip for the pocket straight across on a line. Now cut off the selvage ends. So make sure the selvage ends are pulled past a line on your cutting mat, and you're going to go ahead and cut the selvage edges off. Now move over 7 inches and you're going to cut your first 2 squares for your pockets. Go over 7 more inches and cut your second set of pockets. Stack your fabric for your pockets, and you're going to round these 2 lower corners, so we can do this all in one step. Take anything round. This is just a spool of ribbon, and trace around, and then go over to the other corner and trace around. Now you can use scissors or a rotary cutter and go ahead and cut around these corners. To make your pockets, go ahead and bring front sides together and then pin around the edges. And I like to pin, especially when there's round corners, because the fabric has a tendency to shift, especially when you're trying to stitch around corners. So you want to place pins on all of your sides, okay? Now I'm just loosely pinning right now, but you know what, you kind of get the picture, alrighty? And then on one side, you're going to leave a small opening. You know, it doesn't need to be very big. So here's my opening, so don't stitch over this. So back stitch here, come up to the corner, needle down, lift up the presser foot, turn your fabric, lower the presser foot, and continue stitching. So whenever you come to a corner, that's how you would approach your corners when you're stitching. Then come down here, and when you're stitching around curves, you just want to slowly turn your fabric and stitch all the way back up to here, and then stitch back and forth a few times here. Remember, you're doing a 1/4 inch seam. After you have finished stitching, then you need to do little clips or little slits down here around the two rounded corners. So all you need to do is, I like using small scissors. I find I have a little better control. Make sure you do not cut through your stitch line, so do it on both of those corners. Then you're going to trim the corners off like I have there. So you're just going to first cut straight across. Again, be careful not to cut into your stitch line. I like to cut a little bit off on each side. Okay, a little bit more right here. Then go to your opening and turn it front side out. Take something, you can use a chopstick or even the end of a pencil, not the leaded part, and go ahead and poke at your corners, and then also reach in and smooth out your rounded edges. Then turn these opening edges in 1/4 inch, pin it closed, and I would press all of your edges flat. Then stitch about 1/8 inch from the edge all the way around, and you do this on both pockets. Stack your two waistband strips together, and you're going to cut the selvage ends off, and I again place it on one of the lines on my cutting mat, and then I place my ruler on one of the lines going this way so that I can cut the edges straight. Now take just one of your strips, just one, not both, and cut it in half. Okay. Here is the strip that's not cut in half for the waistband. So this is the one that's not cut in half. Take the other piece that is the half piece and bring it on the end of the one that's not cut in half. Stitch 1/4 inch seam. Go to the other end and do the same thing. Stitch 1/4 inch seam. Then I like to press my seams open. On each side of the apron skirt, fold the edge over 1/4 inch and press with your iron. Fold again 1/4 inch and press. Then stitch along this edge all the way down. And remember, you're doing it on both sides. At the bottom edge, fold it over 1/4 inch and press all the way across. Fold it over about 2 inches, all right, and press again all the way across. Go ahead and place pins to hold along the edge here all the way across. You'll find you'll have less fabric shifting and stretching apart if you have pins there. Then stitch close to this folded edge all the way across. At the top edge of the skirt portion, you want to do 3 rows of a basting stitch. So set your machine to a basting stitch, set it as long as it'll let you go. And you're going to start at about 1/8 inch from the top edge and stitch a line all the way across. Now, make sure you leave a long tail of thread on both the bottom and the bobbin thread that comes out. So here's my 3 threads on the bottom. Here's my 3 threads on top. You want to make sure they're long. So you're going to go all the way across and do that. So here it is at the other end. Okay, so now take either the top 3 threads or the bottom 3 threads. It doesn't matter which one, as long as you're consistent. Don't start with one and then decide to switch to the other. So whichever you select, stay consistent. Now, my right hand doesn't close up, so it's a little bit of a struggle for me to demonstrate this next part. So you would hold on to the threads at this end, and then you would begin to gather this up, okay? And you would keep going all the way across. Now, it depends on the size of your body as to how wide you want your gathering to be finished at. So you're going to gather to a specific measurement. So measure the side of your body to the other side of the body from your front side. And that's the width of how much your gathering should wind up being. So measure yourself, then begin pulling this up till you get to that measurement. Mine's kind of a big measurement. Mine was like about 19, 20. So I'm going to make my finished size of my gathering 20 inches. Evenly spread the gathers out. You don't want it all clumped in some areas and then there's no gathering in other areas. So take the time to spread it out. You're probably asking yourself a question, why do I need to do 3 rows of basting stitches? There's 2 reasons. One, it helps to keep your gathering much even and laying flatter when you go to put the waistband on. Also, the 3 rows is kind of a safety net. If one of the threads breaks, you still got the other 2 to keep gathering. Take your waistband and fold it in half. So bring the 2 ends together and fold it in half. Now, here is your folded edge. Now remember how I said my gathering was between 19 and 20 inches? I'm going to divide that in half, so I'm going to go over 10 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to take a pin, put it on the back side, and put a mark there and a mark here. Okay, so now fold it in half the other way. So unfold and fold. And pin the edges together. You're going to pin from where you put that little mark on here all the way down to the end here, 1/4 inch seam all the way up to your mark. And you're going to do that on the other end of your waistband. Now, my husband is going to do the next step for you because some of you already know that I have a problem with my right hand. It doesn't close. So I'm going to use his hands to demonstrate the next step. So put a safety pin at one end of your strap. Close the safety pin. Now you're going to pull the 2 sides of the band apart and shove the safety pin inside. Then you're going to push against the safety pin and then pull the fabric away. And if you could come this way a little bit more, Mr. Cameraman there. And you're going to keep doing that until you get all the way down to the bottom where your opening is. At each end of the waistband, go ahead and fold the edges inside 1/4 inch and stitch across here. Then press your waistband all the way down. Have the front side of the apron up and take your waistband and bring it down on top. So you've got front sides together of the fabrics. Now here's where my opening starts. So I'm going to begin pinning the top edge of the apron just inside of that where that seam is, okay? And pin it all the way across, and then when you get to the other side, you're going to have the end of the apron stop just towards the inside of that. Then stitch 1/4 inch seam all the way along that top edge. On the back side, fold the other side of the waistband under 1/4 inch and place it down. And you want to place the folded edge that you have here ever so slightly past your stitch line that you used to stitch the band on from the front. And I would use quite a few pins on this because you want the next step to come out really nice. So use a lot of pins. It's worth the extra effort. Start stitching on the lower edge of the waistband and just go all the way across. Just keep going all the way across. Then when you come to the skirt part, go ahead and stitch close to the folded edge all the way across and then down the other side of the waistband until you get to the end. Now go ahead and just begin removing the basting stitches. They come out real easy. It's not a big effort at all. So just go all the way down and remove them off. Take your pockets and you're going to pin them onto the front side, and this is just a suggestion on where to place them. Place them 5 inches over from the side here. So go over 5 inches and place it, and then 5 inches from the bottom. Temporarily pin them on. Just put a few pins and pin the other one on the other side. Try the apron on. See if you like where the pockets are. You might want them higher, lower, more towards the center, or farther out. Once you've determined where you want them, then go ahead and stitch an 1/8 of an inch seam all the way around here and backstitch here and here. For more apron projects, go to the very end of this video where you will see a green screen and click on the links. If you like this video, would you please click on thumbs up, and don't forget to click on that share button to share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go to that button in the lower right hand corner of your screen. Don't forget to enter your email address and click on the little bell so you receive email notifications to your phone. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny. See you next time, and happy sewing!